Right now, I'm sitting in my car, parked across from LeBlanc, the most exclusive restaurant in town. Through the grand, illuminated windows, I can see my wife, Jessica, laughing with her lover, Howard. She's wearing the black dress I bought her just last month for our anniversary. The irony doesn't escape me. Her laughter floats through the room. Practiced, perfect, a facade as polished as the lies she's been living. I glance at my phone. 8:15 p.m. Everything is set in motion. Soon, her carefully constructed world will collapse like a house of cards. For now, though, I watch. Jessica looks stunning tonight, as she always does when she meets him. Her dark, glossy hair falls in soft waves, catching the warm glow of the restaurant lights. She's smiling, that special smile I thought was reserved for me. Howard, leaning in close, probably murmurs something clever. His expensive watch gleams under the chandelier's light, a gift from his wife, though Jessica doesn't know about her. Not yet. My finger hovers over the send button. The message is simple. Enjoy the evening because it'll be over soon. I hit send. Her phone vibrates on the table. Did you see that? The faint flinch, the micro-expression she couldn't quite suppress. Jessica picks up her phone, reads the message, and there it is, the first crack in her perfect act. Fear. Howard doesn't notice. He's too absorbed in his own charm, too blind to the subtle tremor in Jessica's hand as she sets the phone down. He has no idea his world is about to crumble, too. A few tables away, Jessica's family sits quietly. Her uncle, her cousin, and her sister. They haven't spoken to her or acknowledged her presence. But they're here for a reason, another part of my plan. I send the next message. Did you really think no one would find out? Jessica's mask slips further. Her eyes dart nervously around the restaurant, scanning for the threat she doesn't yet understand. Her wine glass trembles slightly as she takes a sip. The night is young, and already she's unraveling. Revenge isn't about shouting matches or dramatic confrontations. Real revenge is quiet, deliberate, a slow, suffocating descent into the chaos of one's own lies. And tonight, I'm going to show Jessica exactly what happens when you mistake my patience for weakness. But to truly appreciate this moment, you need to understand how it began. How I discovered the affair, pieced together the truth, and devised a plan to shatter not just their relationship but their entire world. It all started with a scent. 1 month ago. Jessica came home late one night. She said she'd been out with friends, but when she leaned in to kiss me goodnight, I noticed something strange. A scent, rich, expensive, and unmistakably masculine. It wasn't mine. Hermes. I recognized it immediately because I'd once considered buying it but decided against it. The fragrance clung to her clothes, faint but damning. Most men would have lost their temper right there, demanded answers, maybe caused a scene. But I'm not most men. 20 years as a corporate lawyer taught me one invaluable lesson. Patience reveals what emotions often obscure. So I said nothing. I kissed her back, let her go about her evening, and watched as she disappeared into the bathroom. That night, I lay awake, my mind churning. 6 years of marriage, promises of forever, dreams of starting a family, all of it threatened by a scent that didn't belong. But instead of confronting her, I decided to wait. To watch. And what a performance I witnessed. Jessica thought she was clever. She deleted messages, took phone calls in another room, and always kept her phone face down. But she overlooked the details. The small things that reveal more than words ever could. She'd smile at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. She started dressing up for client meetings that didn't appear on her calendar. Then there were the extra gym sessions, unrecorded by her fitness app. I started keeping a log. Tuesday, 7 p.m. dinner with Sarah? Except Sarah posted photos of a family gathering across town. Friday, 2 p.m. client meeting? Her office confirmed no such appointment. The evidence mounted like a case file. Now, sitting here in the car, watching her squirm, I know she's beginning to realize. She thought she could outsmart me. She thought she could keep her secrets hidden. But secrets always come out. And tonight, they'll destroy everything. I never intended to be in this position. I had no desire to play detective or mastermind revenge. But then, the credit card statements began to tell a story, one I had no choice but to read. LeBlanc, the upscale restaurant, the boutiques in Uptown. A cozy bar at an overpriced hotel. Each charge corresponded to a time when Jessica claimed she was elsewhere. Each discovery was a dagger, but I swallowed the pain, staying calm, playing the trusting husband she thought I was. My heart told me I'd seen enough, but my mind demanded precision. I hired a private investigator, not to prove her betrayal, for I already knew, but to uncover the depth of her deceit. Within days, his name surfaced. Howard, a corporate lawyer, just like me. But unlike me, Howard was known for his recklessness, his taste for risk. He was married to the daughter of a real estate tycoon, a woman whose wealth and connections were the backbone of his charmed life. Howard had far more to lose than Jessica ever realized. The betrayal hurt, yes. But as the pain simmered, it transformed into something sharper. A cold, calculating clarity that I usually reserve for my most complex legal battles. I began to see the pieces on the board, moving them in my mind. I didn't just want to expose their affair. I wanted to dismantle the lives they'd built on lies. One evening, as I sat at my desk, mapping out every move, Jessica's voice broke my concentration. "Everything okay? You've been so distant lately." I turned to her, forcing the kind of smile she must have perfected during her deceit. "Everything's perfect," I said smoothly. And soon it would be. The hardest part wasn't discovering the affair. It was pretending I didn't know. For weeks, I wore the mask of ignorance, biding my time. Slowly, methodically, I set the stage for the perfect reckoning. Like a chess master, I knew timing was everything. The first move was reaching out to Jessica's family. Her Uncle James had always been a surrogate father to her, stepping in after her parents passed. I invited him for coffee at a quiet cafe, bringing with me a thick manila envelope that felt heavier than it should. "I wish I didn't have to show you this," I said, sliding the evidence across the table. Photographs of Jessica and Howard entering hotels. Receipts from dinners they shared. Transcripts of text messages that left little to the imagination. James's hands trembled as he sifted through the damning proof. His face hardened. "She's following in her mother's footsteps," he muttered bitterly. Jessica's mother, years ago, had shattered their family with her own betrayals. Now, history was repeating itself. "I don't expect you to save our marriage," I told him. "It's beyond saving. But I need your help to make her understand that actions have consequences." James looked at me, understanding dawning in his eyes. His anger gave way to a quiet resolve. Within hours, he'd rallied Jessica's closest family members, her sister Emma, her cousin David, and David's wife. No heated confrontations. No dramatic interventions. Just their presence at LeBlanc that night, watching in judgment. Silent but devastating. Howard's wife, Scarlett, was a more delicate matter. Approaching her directly would have risked too much. Instead, I sent her an anonymous package containing not just proof of Howard's affair with Jessica but evidence of 3 others I'd uncovered during my investigation. Scarlett, I learned, held the reins in their marriage. The wealth, the connections, the respectability, it all came from her family. Without her, Howard's glittering world would crumble. The final step was practical but necessary. The day before the fateful dinner, I visited the leasing office of our apartment. Being the sole name on the lease had its advantages. Within an hour, I'd ensured that Jessica's access to my home, my sanctuary, would be severed. The stage was set. The pieces were in place. Now, it was time to watch the game unfold. The termination papers were effective immediately. As I handed them in, the property manager gave me a sympathetic look. When I hinted at infidelity, her expression softened further. It was a quiet acknowledgement of the unfairness I had endured. That evening, I watched Jessica pack an overnight bag, her movements fluid and confident, her demeanor polished. "Business trip tomorrow?" I asked casually. "Just dinner with clients," she replied smoothly, her lie delivered without hesitation. "Don't wait up." I pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Wear that black dress I bought you," I suggested, my voice soft, my eyes unreadable. "You look beautiful in it." She smiled, a mix of guilt and excitement flickering across her features. "Good idea," she murmured, her voice light, almost carefree. As she walked away, I sent the final text confirming the dinner reservations. LeBlanc, 2 tables. One for her and her lover, and another for her family. The moving company was already scheduled for the next morning. Every box was packed, every loose end tied. Jessica's charade was about to unravel, and I was ready to let it collapse under its own weight. The next evening, I watched from outside the restaurant. Jessica sat across from Howard, her business client. She checked her phone repeatedly, her perfectly manicured fingers trembling ever so slightly. She was waiting for the shoe to drop, though she didn't know it yet. The first text landed. The truth always comes out, doesn't it? She froze mid-sip, her wine glass hovering uncertainly in her hand. Across the table, Howard was recounting some self-aggrandizing tale of his latest courtroom triumph, blissfully unaware of the storm about to descend. The second text followed. Look to your left. Family always comes first, remember? I saw the exact moment her eyes found them. Her Uncle James, Sister Emma, Cousin David, and his wife, all seated 3 tables away. Their expressions were a mixture of disappointment and disdain. Her hand shook so badly she had to set her wine glass down. Everything okay, beautiful? Howard asked, his obliviousness almost comedic. The third message hit her phone. Did you really think no one would find out about the hotel meetings? Her face drained of color. She glanced at her family again, hoping for some lifeline, but they deliberately looked away. The weight of their silent judgment crushed any defense she might have mustered. Howard's phone buzzed next. I'd planned it perfectly. He read the message from his wife, and his confident smirk vanished. Panic crept into his features as he opened the email. Photos, receipts, messages. Not just with Jessica, but with the others. His carefully curated facade disintegrated in real time. I have to go, he stammered, already standing. Jessica reached for his hand, her voice desperate. Howard, wait. But he was already gone, throwing cash on the table and rushing out without a backward glance. I sent another text. Looks like your knight in shining armor just abandoned ship. Her family rose from their seats, their chairs scraping against the hardwood floor. They walked past her table slowly, deliberately. None of them spoke, but their silence screamed louder than any words could have. Emma, her sister, paused. She placed a small envelope beside Jessica's untouched wine glass. Inside was a photograph, Jessica and Howard in a heated embrace outside that expensive hotel. The final nail in her coffin. The last text lit up her phone. Don't bother coming home. Your boxes are packed. Through the restaurant window, I watched her crumble. Her perfectly composed mask shattered, her world imploding piece by piece. She tried calling Howard, but his number was already blocked. Tears streaked her flawless makeup as she fumbled with her purse, struggling even to sign the check. Before I drove away, I sent one final message. The lease is terminated. You have until tomorrow to collect your things. As I pulled away, I caught a glimpse of her in the rear-view mirror. The strong, confident woman who thought she could manipulate and deceive me now sat broken and utterly alone. The perfect revenge is never about rage or chaos. It is a quiet storm of precision, patience, and inevitability. And mine was absolute zero.